Hey, listeners, Irina here. I'm super excited about today's episode because I have Dhairya here all the way from India. And we have a fascinating conversation on how she landed 16 internships as a university student. You are simply going to enjoy this episode. If you haven't subscribed to my podcast, friends, head on over to Apple and subscribe. If you find a golden nugget in this episode, hit me up on Instagram and Twitter, send me a message, tweet me, let me know how this episode has impacted you, and please do spread the love, share it with a friend. Anyway, let's get into this conversation. Welcome, superstars. Thank you so much for tuning into this dial. You're listening to At Live with Irina. I'm very excited to bring you this week's episode. I'm your host, Irina Roussel. Today, I have the pleasure to welcome Dhairya Gangwani, all the way from India. Welcome.
Hi, Irina. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure that you're having me on this podcast. And I'm so excited for the coming 45 minutes or so interacting with you and sharing some things about my life with you.
I am super excited myself. And to you, my listeners who are just tuning in, welcome. And to those of you who are tuning in for the first time, welcome back. You are in for a fantastic episode. So just some background on Dhairya. She's an electronics and communications engineer, and she is a phenomenal student who recently completed 16 internships while at university. She's someone who loves interacting with people, learning new languages. She loves public speaking, traveling, and content writing. She considers herself an optimist and a hustler with the mantra, always believe in yourself. Isn't that right, Dhairya?
Totally, Irina. I guess that it's extremely important to always believe in yourself and look at the positive things in life, because until and unless you don't believe in yourself, who else will, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
certainly agree with you, because that's how you build your confidence. That's how you go after your dreams and what you want in life, right?
Right, exactly.
So, Dhairya, give our listeners a little bit of your backstory.
Sure, Irina. So, for all of you to get a bit acquainted with me, I'm Dhairya Gangwani and I'm 22 years old. I have just graduated from VIT Vellore, which is a private institute in India, which is renowned for its engineering courses. And I got placed at KPMG in India via my campus placements. And I have just recently finished my internship with them. In general, I love traveling and public speaking, just like Irina mentioned. And another thing that I love is meeting people from various backgrounds. And coming to my family, I have a really small family comprising of my mother, my father, and my younger sister, who as well is pursuing engineering. And I come from a very, very humble and a very basic background. And back in India, we call it the middle class strata, Irina, just to let you know. And yeah, we're extremely religious and we hold our culture and values very close to our heart.
That's awesome. So you come from an engineering family. I love it. And, one thing I just want to say, congratulations on finishing, your university. And you're welcome. We all have people who've touched our lives, as I'm sure you do as well. How have mentors impacted your journey, as a university student and in life?
Right. So Irenia, basically for me, I would like to put it that way, that mentors have played a very crucial role throughout my life. And they are primarily the reason I am who I am today. And when I was back in school, I think, and up till 12th, let's say, it was obviously mainly primarily my parents and your school teachers who act as mentors. And when I, went to university and I started my engineering, so then I met a couple of professors who were really, really helpful, and they were so knowledgeable, and they've acted as a very, very great source of guidance and knowledge for me. I also met a couple of seniors along the way who helped me out through my placements and be it any kind of advice that I needed from them. And now that I've graduated, I'm glad that I'm still in touch with each and every one of them, be it my teachers, my friends, different seniors, like I mentioned. But
Yeah.
if I have to, mention one particular or, the main mentors in my life who I consider have created a very major impact, it would have to be, my mother and my grandfather. Because my mother is the one who's obviously inculcated all these values and characteristics in me. And at a very young age, she taught me the importance of education and why it was essentially important for a woman to be financially independent, especially in today's time and age. And my grandfather has always been a very, very big support system. And I draw a huge part of my inspiration from him because he himself comes from such a diverse background. He was a university ranker, he got a scholarship, then he applied for the Indian Air Force also, and he made it through it. But, his mother did not let him join it at that time. And ultimately, he gave the exams for RBI, which is the Reserve Bank of India, and he retired as a very reputed officer from there. So he always guides me and believed in me. So I think he is my mentor for life. And yeah, I owe it all to them.
I love the emphasis on education and also the importance of being financially independent as a woman, because that's so important, as you said, in this day and age. I love that you have mentors across various groups, whether it be peers or, seniors or professors. And I love that you're so connected with them, as well as your family, right? Who's nurtured you into becoming the woman that you are today, with the encouragement. That is so fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Listeners, I'm preparing this fantastic community for you, a community where we can gather, collide, share our ideas, and support each other. I have a lot of plans for you. You is simply going to enjoy the Live with Irenia community. It's coming soon. I will be sharing more in future episodes. Hang on to your seats because we are going to have so much fun. Daria, you are amazing. You've had 16 internships. How did you go about getting all of these internships?
Thank you, Irenia, firstly. Yeah, so let me just, give you a brief summary of how I went about it. So I was on the go for finding what it is that I really like and where my interest lies. And, once I discovered it was all the management fields and everything, I realized that being in second year and not having any prior experience, it was not going to be a cakewalk for me to, get any internship, even if I applied to small firms or let's say startups. But then I was lucky enough to stumble upon a website. It's a platform which is called Internshala, and what they do is they help students bag internships. And yeah, there are millions of other platforms that you can apply to, but then I luckily got introduced to this one, and I applied by obviously submitting my resume and stuff like that. So I think I applied for a couple of internships, but as I mentioned, I didn't have any previous experience. So yes, so I got rejected by all of them. I didn't get selected for even a single one. And that is when I realized that what experience really means, right? It holds such a great value.
Yes.
So yeah, so what I did was I started obviously working on myself. I started doing courses in the management field, or I just tried to read about the different skills that would be needed by a management working professional and things on that line. So I just started bettering myself. So every time now that I used to try, I obviously my interviews used to go better. And luckily, one of the organizations, which was a startup in UAE, that was my first internship. So they selected me because they really thought that even though I did not have the experience, I was willing to learn. So that is something that they really liked about me. And ever since when I got that, I worked as a business development intern for them, and they really liked my work. And after that, one after the other, I applied for a US based company, then I applied for an Indian firm, then an educational startup, and there were different companies. I started gathering the different letters of recommendations and all the laurels that I got and putting them onto my CV. And in no time, I didn't even realize that I had done so many internships. So that's pretty much how I got through them.
Absolutely amazing. And listeners, that's how it gets done. This is so cool.
Thank
That
you.
I'm just amazed at your, intention, your focus, you applied, you got rejected, you refined, you retooled, and you went for it. And 16 internships later, you're into a full-time job, graduating straight out of university. That's just simply phenomenal. And we need to be more like you for sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Daria, what pivots have you made in your career journey?
Okay. Well, the first pivot would have to be when back in 11th grade, when I chose to take up science and move ahead with preparing for the IIT JEE exam, which I mind you is a very big pivot in itself in India. And I always wanted to pursue a BDS degree and become an orthodontist. But life had some other plans. And moreover, I was not the same person as I am back today, right?
Yes.
So I gave in to my parents and my teachers' suggestions and expectations back then. And they asked me to take up engineering as a career field, and I just went for it. So it was only after I made this decision that I realized that I could not just blindly follow what everyone was saying or just do something because my parents wanted me to do it. I mean, I had to be happy in doing that thing. So when I came to a juncture where I had to make a choice with my engineering field, I made sure that I stood up for myself and I chose electronics and communication engineering, even though my mother wanted me to take up CSC. So ever since, every decision that I've taken has been keeping in mind my happiness and how fulfilled I feel at the end of the day after taking that decision. And a major pivotal point in my career journey was also when I took up these multiple internships, as I told you, because when I got to learn so much, be it time management, be it teamwork, be it being agile, be it adapting to the corporate world even before entering it, or operating in different time zones. So it broadened my horizons at a very, very early age. And I was getting to work with the founders and the top management, and it was such an enriching experience, and it made me financially independent and helped me build my confidence in myself. So that was surely another pivotal point in my career.
Very, very inspiring.
Thank you.
Daria, how has technology played a role in your job profile?
Well, Irenia, I'm going to be an analyst in the SAP department very soon with one of the big four companies. And technology majorly influences it. And we're living in a world today where staying up to date with every technological advancement is mandatory. So the world is changing at a very, very fast pace, as you know, and to thrive and keep up with the times, you need to update yourself from time to time. I have personally been working on various P2P cloud technologies such as SAP Ariba, Coupa, and iValue at KPMG. And they're such dynamic tools in themselves that you have to know each and every minute detail and how the system works, how it operates, and keep yourself updated to any new advancements which are happening in the field and the new technologies which are being employed in the various systems. And there are so many other things which are happening. So technology overall is playing a very crucial role in a technical consultant's life, and you cannot do without it. I believe that about 90% of the fields today require you to be technically sound.
In your opinion, what do you see the future of work looking like?
So I believe that not just given the global pandemic situation, I think that the concept of agility is going to play a very, very major role in the workspace and in the corporate world, because being adaptable to any kind of situation at work, be it working from your remote location and delivering to your clients, or handling multiple things at a time, is going to play a very, very important role, because we're not going to be necessarily be able to meet each other in person and create that impact as we do when you meet in person, because you have your personality and your body language, which will play a very major role when you meet someone in person. But given the situations, everything happening virtually and people working from home, I guess it's only your communication skills, your ability, and your skills that will help you sail through this time. And only if you're technologically advanced and up to date with everything, that's going to play a very major role in the future to come.
And also, Dhairya, you've had a lot of experience working, with virtual teams. From your
Right.
perspective, how does an organization build trust when there hasn't been, any physical face-to-face contact?
Right. So, so what I believe is that for any company or organization who hires you into their team, it's extremely important for them to know that you are someone who can be trusted upon, right? So the first thing that you need to build with your employers is that you need to build a sense of trust, and also make an impact in a way that someone can rely upon you for anything to be done. So when you're virtually working, as I said, you obviously don't have your physical presence or your face or your body language to for someone to just trust you, and you can't really do. There's only so much that you can do. But here's when your work speaks for yourself. Your work speaks volumes. So when you deliver according to what has been expected out of you, and when you build that kind of trust and relationship with your peers, with your colleagues, and obviously your bosses who you report to, so that's when everything becomes more smoother, and then you can, people can rely upon you, and using your skills at the right time and displaying them at the right place is another essential important tool, because sometimes it can be misinterpreted too. So you don't want to sound too braggy or anything, but yes, obviously use it when it's required.
Can you give some practical example on how you would build relationship with your peers in the workplace when you're working on a virtual team? Like, what sort of things do you do to bond together?
Sure. So yeah, also irrespective of you working in a small company, in an organization, in an MNC or a startup, it's extremely important to not just restrict yourself to the professional boundaries. I believe it's very important to go just beyond that surface and try and get to know your colleagues very well at a personal level too. Because, it's not just about working with them in a professional environment. You need to know who is the person who you're actually working with. And you'll only know that when you try to get to know them at a personal level. So, try and hit some informal conversations. Maybe, hit them up normally and casually ask them how their day was or what are they planning on doing. What are some recent developments? How is their family doing? Try to bond with them over Zoom calls. Don't just use Zoom for your professional meetings. Why not bond with your team internally and get to know them better? Play a couple of few virtual games. There are so many virtual games which have come up, and you can basically investing in things or doing things which are just not restricted to professional boundaries, because that creates a sense of a very good and an amicable atmosphere. And I think that's another way in which you build trust, right? Because getting familiarized to each other will only help you work better. So I think that is something that everyone can do while you're working virtually.
That's some very good advice, very good practical advice, because I find that, in speaking to a lot of different entrepreneurs, the struggle for companies will be keeping that cohesiveness with the teams, building the trust within the virtual teams so that everyone can feel comfortable, that there is a strong corporate culture where
Right,
there is a sense that one can have a dissenting opinion, agreeable opinion, and the
right.
work gets done. And so with regards to virtual games, what are a couple of example of games are you playing, or you've played with your teammates?
Well, there are a couple of online websites wherein there's a game called Psych, which is really interesting. I would like to recommend it to everybody. So you can play it in groups. You have like a group code which you enter. Ludo King is another game which has become extremely famous during the lockdown, and I think people from all over the world have been downloading that app. And
Okay.
yeah, there's also an online platform which is called Kahoot, wherein they make customized and personalized games. So very recently, since I had my last day with KPMG, so we played this game wherein you had to identify the brands from their logos and their taglines. Right, every brand has a tagline.
All right,
So
awesome.
yeah, that was pretty interesting because the entire team plays together and it's so much fun.
Cool. I'm going to drop that in the show notes as well. For our
Sure.
listeners, um, who are listening and who are working in virtual teams, definitely something you want to check out. What are some current projects that you're working on that's really firing you up right now?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Irina, I am done with my internship at KPMG and I have like a good 1.5 months for myself. So,
Yes.
yeah, there are a couple of things lined up. And the major ones being that I've recently been selected as a member of the board of young leaders at Eat My News, which is a global youth media platform. And I'll be associated with the content writing department. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I've also been selected as a member of the English and Communication course at Girl Script Community, which is a non-profit organization in India. So I'm going to be acting as a student mentor there, and I'm going to be teaching a batch of students via this program. And I'm absolutely privileged to have been given this opportunity because I will be able to give back to the society. And lastly, I think this is something which is again very interesting because I'm going to be collaborating with an educational startup which is called Bridge 8, and their
Yeah.
aim is to bridge the gap for tier 2 and tier 3 college students when it comes to learning your soft skills, communication skills, and interpersonal skills. And here I'm going to help them frame a curriculum of sorts and study material for different modules of interpersonal and public speaking skill courses that they'll provide to these college students in the future. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Absolutely awesome. You are a dynamite woman. You are so cool. I love that you are involved in so many different things. And the fact that you mentioned, that you will be mentoring and giving back to the college student, that is so cool. It's so
Thank
important
you so
for
much.
us to really give back to society. Isn't that right?
Totally it is.
And we all know, in our lives, we have challenges along the way in our career journey.
Right.
And, can you identify a very defining moment where you've had an epic fail and how you overcame that fail?
Yes. Um, right. So I guess one epic fail in my journey would be, backtracking to about 2 to 3 years. it was a time where I did not believe in myself as much as I do today. And I was obviously not the same person. And I used to get really intimidated by my surroundings back then. So any third person or XYZ person doing something, accomplishing something, succeeding in something, or reaching a certain place in their life, I wouldn't say I was jealous of them, but it made me feel insecure. And it made me a bit, I used to coop away and I used to like feel like I'm not doing enough in life. So yeah, I had lost a sense of individuality back then, and I was willing to go on the path wherein the entire world was going. You follow the mad race.
Yeah.
So it was only when I entered my third year of engineering when I realized what my true calling is. And then I realized that I'm not meant for imitating or following the same path which a particular XYZ person is doing. And it's more important for me to do things which actually make me feel fulfilled and happy, right? Rather than
Yeah.
just doing what others are doing. And
Yeah.
so that's when I realized that, you know, consulting, business analysis, or everything on these lines, public speaking, are the things which suit me, which I enjoy doing and I'm truly interested in. So it took me time to identify my strengths and define my own individuality. But then, if you give it time and you start believing in yourself, irrespective of the point of view, let's say of your batchmates, your friends, or anybody else, because people will always have opinions when you try to do something different.
Yes.
That's a rule. So, but the fact that you can keep that aside and still believe in yourself is something that will help you get through life. And realizing that what I bring to the table is something completely different from any other person in the world, because I am me, and similarly you are you, and no one else can be Irenia, no one else can be Dhairya. So yeah, I think that was a very big turning point in my life, wherein I realized the importance of believing in myself, which I didn't back then. So that was a big epic fail in my life.
You know what? That is absolutely awesome. I got goosebumps just listening to that. When you talk about, defining who you are for yourself and identifying your own individuality in order
Right.
to go for your dreams, do the things that fulfill you, that is so important, because we know that, we're
Mm-hmm.
we're sometimes being taught in the masses, to be like everyone else, and we need
Right.
to be different in order to be innovative, right? And to
Yes.
really be who we are at our core, because that's
Right.
the only way, as you said, we're going to be fulfilled in life.
Right. Right. Exactly.
So what is your superpower?
Okay. So let me give this a bit of a thought because it's quite a question. My superpower. Well, I would like to believe that my superpower is that I've learned ways to maintain a balance in my life, a balance of sorts. Like I mentioned, in college, I made sure that I got above average grades, and I actively participated in my extracurriculars as well. And cut to January 2020, when I started my internship at KPMG, and I shifted to a completely different city, Mumbai, which I've never lived in before. And I met new people. I had to adapt to the entire cultural difference, adapt to the corporate world, and so many other things. So to make sure that I'm not really overwhelmed by all of this, I made like a nice morning routine for myself,
Yes.
wherein I would start my day by firstly making my bed. And why I'm emphasizing on this podcast is because I've read it in so many articles and a couple of books, Irenia, that
Yes.
most of the people who are really successful in their life, they do this, they follow this norm, that the first thing that they do when they get up is make their bed. And the scientific reason and the logical reason behind it, why it's so important, is because it sets the tone for your day. And it's like just a small accomplishment, to say, yeah, I've done this, so it's ticked off the box. This is something that you've done on your own. So that's how I started doing this after reading a couple of articles. Then yeah, I go on and sip my coffee and I get ready to head to office. And I make sure that I have a very, very good and a heavy breakfast, because it's essentially important to get you through the day. And then I start focusing on my work. And towards the evening, when I'm about to leave, it's around 6 or 7. I hit the gym, which is in my office premises, luckily. because I believe, physical exercise is extremely important, and, it releases your stress, your toxins, and, it refreshes you. And after a very long and hard day at work, I think it's extremely important to, work out. So
Absolutely.
yeah, and yeah, that's pretty much about my day. I used to get back to my PG. I'm forgetting it. I'm still back in those days. Yeah. So I used to go back to my PG and have like a good meal, and then it used to be my me time. Then it was all about, what I wanted to relish in. So it would be watching my favorite TV series, or, listening to some music, or just anything, but it was my me time. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that I just did not manage or do a 9 to 5 job, nor will I continue to do so in the future. There are some things that you need to do for yourself, right? And for your own
Absolutely.
soul. So recreation is extremely important, and so that will only come through when you have a balance maintained in your life. So I think that is my superpower.
Good. And, as you're talking about recreation, we all know that music helps to change our physiology and our mood. So how has music
Right.
and dance played a role in your life?
Right. So, dance is something I've been passionate about from a very, very young age. I think I was 4 or 5 years old when my mom put me in my first dance class, because all I used to do, even when I was 1 year old, and I used to listen to a song, right? I used to start nodding my head and shaking my legs and hands, and I would get so excited because I loved music, and I used to groove to tunes and dance on my own. So I joined dance classes. I did a couple of performances even as a child. And I remember it very vividly that I used to love getting onto the stage and dancing and performing.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, so I also learned the Indian traditional dance form, which is called Kathak, for a couple
Yeah.
of years.
What
Yeah.
is that?
So, so Kathak is like basically, as I told you, it's an Indian classical dance form wherein you express a lot via your expressions, and there's a lot of gracious hand movements and your leg movements.
Yeah.
So it's more towards that end. So but yeah, I did have to leave it when I got in, I don't know, for some reason I did not continue it, because I think I got busy with my studies and stuff like that. Your parents said you focus on your boards, and yeah, I think I left Kathak. But then people used to see that I'm really interested in dancing. So if we had any party or gathering wherein a couple of my mom's friends and everyone used to gather, I used to make sure, and they used to make sure that I performed. They would put on a song and I would just dance. So I believe it's dance is a form of expression, and it's really relieving and refreshing. So dance has been a big part of my life. Even now, I continue to do Zumba from time to time. The dance forms have changed, but dance has continued to be a part of my life. And as you said, listening to music really, really releases all the stress and takes you into a different space altogether, right? So I think, and depending on the mood, you have different songs that you listen to. So
Absolutely. So do
yeah,
you
when
do you do you have
yeah,
a song on replay that's your go-to song?
yes, I do. I love this song called "Look at Her Now" by Selena Gomez.
Okay.
And I think that is one song which is always on loop in my playlist. Yeah, I really love it.
And we all know that, books have an impact on our lives. Is there a favorite book that you've read, or a book
Yes,
in general you've read that have helped to shape your career?
yes, yes, yes. Uh, I don't know if everyone who's listening to this podcast out here has read this book or not, but I would really advise all of you, and I Irina, you too, to read this book called The Secret by Rhonda Byrne.
Okay.
It's an extremely, extremely motivating and positive book. It's all about the law of attraction and the universe, and
Mhm.
how you attract what you think, and the thoughts that you put out in the universe turn into reality, manifestation, positivity. So it's all about that. And I have implemented it in my life, and it has worked for me. So I hope it works for all of you too.
All right, we'll be sure to check out The Secret. I believe that was a big rage back in the early 2000s, this book.
Yes,
But
right,
it's,
right.
yeah, I how has volunteering played a role in your life, and why is it important to give back to community?
Irene, I believe that it's extremely essential for every human being to give back to the society at some point or the other, because it is the society, that conditions you and that helps you grow in some way or the other, even though there are external factors. So let's say even when back in college, I remember that I was again into volunteering. I was associated with a national level organization, an NGO, which was called Make a Difference. And as the name suggests, they make a difference. And how they do it is by giving back to the underprivileged children who are not as privileged as us when it comes to education. And I had the honor to go and teach ninth and 10th grade students English and science and help them during their board exams through that organization. And it used to give me a sense of relief, happiness, and pride at the same moment when I used to teach those batch of children and come back every Friday. I used to go there once a week, because at the end of the day, I know, I get it. You want to be successful, you want to
Yeah,
earn money, and you want to reach a certain position in life. Everyone wants to do that.
yeah,
But at the same time, you also want to do something for your soul, something for the society, and something that you feel good about truly, right?
yeah,
So I guess giving back to the community is where I believe every my heart lies, at least, if not, majority of the people. And I guess it gives me a certain joy which not anything else has given me, lately. So I believe that giving back to society is extremely important. And volunteering and community work has always played a very major role in my life, and I want to continue to do so even in the future.
that is so phenomenal. I love what you said, doing something for the community, contributing back, just totally fires up the soul and brings you relief, happiness. I
Yes.
love that. So important.
Yeah.
With the work that you're doing, right? Your work as well as your community work, how is
Right.
that going to impact future generations?
Right. So to be very honest, I don't think I'm in a position wherein I can create an impact of sorts in the society or in the community. I've just begun my journey, and yeah, there is a lot that I need to do. I need to learn and experience. Having said that, I surely hope to create a substantial impact 3 to 5 years down the line. And I want to make sure that my work is positively impacting the generations to come. And being a consultant, which I will be in the future very soon, we do have the power to do so, because we provide, in case only if we provide practical and implementable solutions for our clients, that's when it makes the difference. So moreover, just other than that, I would want to give back to the society in every way possible. So even during my internship, I was involved with the firm's CSR activities, which is the corporate social responsibility activities. And I used to keep volunteering every week and going for different activities with these different kids from different backgrounds and who were so, underprivileged. And it was so, really, I used to feel gratitude and I used to feel sad at the same time, because I used to thank God for whatever He's given me. But at the same time, I had this sense of, grief that there are so many people who are not privileged enough to have those luxuries as we have in life.
Yeah.
So I plan on magnifying on that and working towards that aspect at a larger level when, other than just growing professionally in my future.
You are so humble, Daria, because I can tell you that the work that you've been doing, are currently doing, is having a great impact on the students that you're touching, as well as the individuals, whether it's your peers or your elders who are in your life, because you are an inspirational woman.
It means a lot, Irene. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Given our current extraordinary times, because we are living in pandemic times, what advice do you have for other professionals like you in your space?
Right. So, well, this situation specifically is something that has come to a shock for everyone. And as you said, we are in the middle of a global pandemic. and industries are disrupting, people are getting laid off, the economy is crashing, and there are so many people who are falling prey to depression, and there's a long list. So my advice to everyone out there in my space or outside of my spaces, that I would advise you to always try and stay optimistic. I know that it's easier said than done, but truly staying positive and believing in yourself are the two most important things that any individual should follow. And I believe that spend quality time with your family and optimize this time by working on your mental and physical health, because it's extremely important given the kind of environment we are living in today. So also, you should try and pick up an old hobby that you've not been able to give time to due to work commitments, your school or college timings, or whatsoever be the reason. So just try and do things which make you happy, and try and meditate and stay optimistic. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much, Dhairya. This is so much golden nuggets for our listeners. You are so awesome. And to you, my listeners, I hope that you've been taking copious notes, because this is really, really good.
Thank you. I hope it helps everyone.
Dhairya, I am so impressed. 16 internships to a full-time job coming out of university. You are involved in several community projects. You are an inspiration for many of the graduating students and the up-and-coming students out there, and even mature professionals who are thinking about going back to study and to find new work. So awesome.
Thank you so much, Irina. It's just been a pleasure being on your podcast.
All right. So if there's one last thing, one key takeaway you want our listeners to know, what would that be?
Okay. One last thing and one key takeaway that I would like everyone who's listening to this podcast would be, always do things that make you happy and follow your heart, and keep hustling and believing in yourself. Try and be optimistic and look at the positive situations, and you will only attract good things. The sky is the limit for you. Yeah.
You hear that, listeners? The sky is the limit. Feed your soul. Thank you so much, Dhairya. I really appreciate you coming on all the way from India.
Thank you so much, Irina. I was so excited about this, and I'm so glad that I'm going to be able to reach out to people through your podcast, and I hope it helps them in any, even in a small way possible.
And you're talking about reaching out to them. How can my listeners continue the conversation with you?
Well, they can surely reach out to me via LinkedIn or my email and my Instagram. And they can always reach out to me for any kind of advice or anything that they want to talk about.
All right. I'll be sure to drop those in the show notes as well. Thank you so much, Dhairya.
Thank you, Irina. It was amazing. And I hope every one of you has had a good time listening to this, or when you listen to it in the future. Just take care of yourselves and stay happy, stay positive.
Awesome. Listeners, I hope you thoroughly enjoyed this episode, because I sure enjoyed this conversation. If you did, please share it with a friend. Also, head on over to Instagram and Twitter. Show me some love. The handle is @LiveWithIrina. Send a comment, tweet, message me. Let me know how this episode impacted you. And if you haven't subscribed yet to this podcast, head on over to Apple and subscribe. Until next time, find your new vibe.